So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they.
So that brings us to Indiana, a team that just last season made the playoffs but fell in the first round. They were steadily building with young talent, most notably Caitlin Clark. But now, with all the moves they've made, they've catapulted themselves into the championship conversation. And if you thought Sue Bird was going to sugarcoat it, think again. She took one look at the Fever's growing hype and said, "Let's slow down a bit." But don't get it twisted. She wasn't dismissing them. She was just keeping it real. Caitlin Clark has the skills, no doubt. But championships aren't won on Twitter or by going viral on TikTok.
I think Natasha Howard certainly stands out. I loved playing with Tosh.
But you cannot say enough about
I cannot say enough about Tosh. I really enjoyed playing with her. I think she really is she's just this glue player that doesn't get enough shine for what she does, because a lot of what she does doesn't show up in the box score, but she just is like always in the right place at the right time. And a player like that, I think, complements what Indiana is.
Yeah, Angel Reese, we're looking at you. One player who stands out in all of this? Natasha Howard. Sue Bird loved playing with her and couldn't say enough about her impact. She's the kind of glue player who doesn't always get the recognition she deserves because a lot of what she does doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but she's always in the right place at the right time. And here's where things get interesting. Sue didn't just throw out a generic, "the Fever might be good" take. She went all in. Sue Bird, the walking, talking basketball encyclopedia, a 4-time WNBA champion, 5-time Olympic gold medalist, and one of the sharpest minds in the game, straight up said that the Indiana Fever are real contenders.
Obviously, through trade, added Sophie Cunningham, a player that, I would say a 3-and-D type player who has, been to the finals, so has that playoff experience. She's also just tough. She's mentally tough. She's physically tough. She brings an edge to them. And then last but not least, they added DeWanna Bonner, which really I think is the one that, for most people, took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender.
They made key moves, including trading for Sophie Cunningham, a gritty 3-and-D player with finals experience. She's tough, both mentally and physically, and she brings an undeniable edge to the team. And then there's the biggest move, adding DeWanna Bonner, the one that really elevated their status to another level. Let that sink in for a second. Sue Bird isn't just any retired player throwing out hot takes for clicks. She's someone who has played against legends, led dynasties, and knows exactly what it takes to win at the highest level. When Sue talks, it's not for attention. It's because she sees something others might be overlooking.
So Sue Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest. Sophie Cunningham is there to be basically the enforcer. She played a lot of 5 at Phoenix. She literally played 1 through 5. She guarded 1 through 5 at Phoenix. There is maybe a not more versatile glue player in the WNBA than Sophie Cunningham. There are better players, there are more versatile players, but no more versatile glue players than 100k a year than Cunningham. She's almost a one of a kind in what she does.
Now keep in mind, Sue Bird is not just hyping up Caitlin Clark. Sure, Clark is a generational talent, pulling up from the logo like it's routine and shattering records left and right. But if you think Sue is only excited because of Clark, then you don't really understand how her basketball brain works. Sue sees the full picture. She recognizes a team that's been putting in the work long before Clark even signed her rookie contract. Players like Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aaliyah Boston endured seasons with minimal fanfare. But with Clark's arrival, that spark has turned into a wildfire. And it's not just about adding star power.
About the experience, the champions that have been added to this one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what everybody talked about when we were in the playoffs last year of, we really didn't have much experience at all playing in playoff games. I don't know what the exact number was, but we really lacked in that area. So just adding pieces of, players that have been in this league, they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to get to the finals. They know what it takes to win championships. I think it's exactly what we needed in our locker room. So it's just exciting, but also like they're not only really good basketball players, they're really great leaders and really great people. And I know the front office obviously really prioritized that and looking for the pieces that we wanted to add. So really thankful for that as well.
The Fever lacked playoff experience last season, and that showed. Now they've brought in veterans who know what it takes to win, to reach the finals, and to bring home championships. And that leadership, it's just as important as their basketball skills. The Fever's front office prioritized not just talent, but also chemistry, and that's exactly what they needed. Sue Bird doesn't throw around the phrase title contender lightly. Her career was built on making smart decisions, whether on the court, off the court, or with her words.
The biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach of,
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of Indiana.
Yeah. So it's really going to be the team that finds their chemistry. This season is short. I mean, they're adding games, but it's still pretty short
Still
season.
short, yeah, still short.
And it's
Still
going to
just
be the
summer.
team that finds chemistry. So having Stephanie White there, having already coached DB, really does help.
If she says Indiana has something special, she's not guessing. She's making a statement. The biggest piece of the puzzle? DeWanna Bonner. And the part people are missing? She's already played under head coach Stephanie White before. That existing chemistry is going to be crucial because in a league as competitive as the WNBA, the team that figures out their chemistry, the fastest has the upper hand. The season may be getting longer, but it's still short. The teams that click early are the ones that go the distance.
Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record.
Indiana Fever team.
They getting paid anyway?
That are like, no, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Of course, nothing is guaranteed. Nobody is handing out trophies in February. But what people are overlooking is that Indiana isn't just a fun young team anymore. They're not here to simply develop. They're here to win. And that should be terrifying for the rest of the league. The most dangerous thing in sports isn't just talent. It's talent combined with belief. It's a team that has momentum, players who have been doubted, and a group that is ready to prove everyone wrong. And Sue Bird?
And yeah, there's a narrative out there that Kathy made the call. All right, Kathy Engelbert. Oh, we got to make sure we get Caitlin Clark the championship. And I told you there's narratives floating. Number one, they're freaking out. Number two, the next thing you're about to hear is Caitlin Clark needs a super team to win a championship. So they're going to downgrade her status, and they're going to shit on her over that. It's already started. That's where they're going with this.
She recognizes that because she's lived it. Kelsey Mitchell is balling out. Caitlin Clark is continuing to impress. And she's going to keep breaking records for years to come. Now, let's talk about Cheryl Swoops because, oh, boy, that take she dropped about real talent never choosing Indiana is aging like milk left out in the sun. In fact, it's starting to look like one of those cold takes that ends up on a highlight reel with dramatic violin music in the background. Because despite Swoops' claims, players are not only choosing Indiana, they want to be there.
There's something about the way she plays the game, her passing, her shooting, that people really identify with. I really feel like we're poised and we're set up for a great, successful next era of Fever basketball.
The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner in the field house. And our ultimate goal is to come back in here after we win that championship and celebrate again like we did in 2012.
And why? It's simple. Caitlin Clark, the Fever organization. The ability to get paid. Free agents are starting to take notice. Indiana isn't just some struggling franchise anymore. This isn't some charity case. They're building something real. And when Sue Bird says, hey, this team is about to be a serious problem, you better believe other players around the league are paying attention. There's even a growing narrative that the league is trying to hand Caitlin Clark a championship, that she needs a super team to win.
Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever. What does that mean? Indiana is just being so greedy right now. They took DB, they took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Like, why would they take Sydney from us?
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
And let's be real, the criticism has already started. People are already setting the stage to downplay her success. But if you think this is some Cinderella story where Clark is the fairy godmother magically fixing everything with her three-point shooting, you're missing the bigger picture. The Fever aren't just relying on Clark, they're stacking real pieces. Every trade, every signing, every draft pick has been intentional. Let's talk free agency because this is where things get juicy. Suddenly, Indiana isn't just a place for players looking for minutes and stats. It's a destination, a place where you can win. A team that's going to be on national TV in front of packed arenas. A squad with a young core that's only going to improve.
What does Bonner's addition now mean for the Fever's title potential?
I think the Indiana Fever, with the addition of DeWanna Bonner after already adding Natasha Howard and Sophie Cunningham, are now in the championship conversation, along with the New York Liberty, the Minnesota Lynx, and the Las Vegas Aces.
There's something special about the way Caitlin Clark plays the game. Her vision, her passing, her shooting, it resonates with fans and players alike. And that's exactly what Sue Bird recognizes. She sees what's coming. And what's hilarious? A lot of people won't see it until it smacks them right in the face. Indiana went from being overlooked to being one of the most talked about teams in the league. Not because of just hype, but because of basketball reasons. Sue Bird sees their trajectory. She sees a team that isn't just hoping to be great, they're working to be great.
Fever, if you haven't been paying attention, they are really active in ensuring that Caitlin Clark and company have a true contending lineup next season. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston, they made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA. If you know.
And for anyone still clinging to the outdated idea that Indiana isn't a destination, it's time to rewrite that narrative. Oh, and by the way, Sydney Colson is joining the Fever too. Indiana just keeps stacking talent, making smart moves, and pushing the rest of the league to take notice. But here's the most important part. Sue Bird isn't just looking at the roster, she's looking at the system being built. And one major key in all of this? Stephanie White. She's not just some random hire. She's the perfect coach for this moment. She knows how to handle talent, manage expectations, and most importantly, win.
Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlin. It's going to be fantastic backup for Kelsey. Like, she is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever. And Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever front office is not messing around. They are putting everything in place to make sure that this year is a championship caliber team. And every addition, it gets better and better and better.
Colson is going to the Indiana Fever. I don't think anyone saw this in the cards, literally. I personally feel like it's a good pickup. I think it's a well upgrade over Erica Wheeler. No shade to her. A lot of people are like surprised as to why she didn't stay in Vegas. And in all honesty, there's a lot of reasons why she may feel called to leave the Ace.
With all the right pieces in place, the Fever are no longer just dreaming of a championship. They're chasing it. So, to the doubters, the haters, and the so-called experts who thought Indiana was just a flash in the pan, Sue Bird sees you. And she's here to tell you that you're wrong. This isn't hype. This is history in the making. The Indiana Fever are here, and they're not going anywhere. And if you're not on board now, don't bother hopping on the bandwagon later. Because when Caitlin Clark lifts that MVP trophy, when the Fever are cutting down nets, and when Sue Bird's words are played back as prophetic, just remember, you heard it here first. The future of the WNBA runs through Indiana. And Caitlin Clark? She's driving the bus. Are you excited? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Click on the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.